Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to go over really quickly with you guys some palettes that I really like, and then a palette that was a surprise for me. There's some free gifts that come along with that palette right now for a limited time, so I want to show those to you as well. And let me get that light out of the way so we don't have to deal with that the whole time. Okay, so let's get right into it because I have a lot of palettes to go over. The first two are from Colourpop. One is from the Femme Rosa collection, and the name of the palette is called She. It is their pressed powder shadow palette. But the color scheme of this palette is fantastic. I had a lovely time playing with these colors. The colors are fantastic. They have several mattes, and then they have some shimmers and some really, really sparkly ones in here. This is wonderful as far as blendability is concerned. Pigment, payoff, the whole 9 yards. It's a little one, but it's a doozy and it packs a punch, and I love this palette. Definitely would recommend this. Again, it's from Colourpop, and the name of the palette is She. The other palette is from Colourpop as well. I had a little bit of mixed feelings about this palette, but overall, I genuinely liked it. The name of the palette is the Yes Please palette, and it's from like the Cute AF, I think, line maybe, but it's Colourpop. They've been sold out of this palette for the longest time. They've recently restocked, so if you are interested in this palette, I would definitely recommend that you hop on as quickly as you can before they're sold out. It looks like this. It says Cute AF on the front. On the back it says Yes Please, and this palette is warm toned and has a lot of great colors in it, and this is what it looks like. Now the mattes in this palette I really liked. However, like this yellow, for example, while it is a bright yellow, it does have kind of a green undertone to it, and when you put it on the skin and start to blend it out, there is a green that really does pull through. So this for me was kind of a miss. Not only that, but it doesn't stay very pigmented. Once you start really blending with it, it kind of loses its charm a little bit. So for me, that color right there was a miss. This color right here is also kind of a highlight color from the palette, but it is a matte highlight palette, which actually excited me because I am not too much of a shimmer glittery kind of girl, because I do have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, and shimmer shadows and glittery shadows do tend to accentuate those issues for me. So I really like the matte shadows, and so I was really looking forward to this one being something that I would really like. And unfortunately, it's not very buttery. It's very hard, and it doesn't really play well. It kind of turns into nothing, and I'm not really sure why that one color is like that, because these colors here, this is a beautiful color on. It's very soft and very buttery, and the color payout is amazing. That color is fantastic. This color is exactly the same. This color is exactly the same. This is a wonderful transition color. This is a great contour color. This is a wonderful transition color. They're all very buttery. But for some reason, this color and this color for me were very disappointing out of this palette. But overall, with the exception of those two, this is a really nice palette, and it's fairly inexpensive. So I would recommend this palette. And it's kind of been overlooked out there, and I think sometimes this should be talked about a little bit more, because Colourpop only has these two palettes. The rest of them are those super shock shadows and individual shadows that you can get, and this is really their first shot at a pressed powder shadow palette. And so I don't know, I feel like people don't talk about them as much as they should. But these two palettes from Colourpop for me have their, this one has its downsides with those two pans, but overall I really like these two palettes, and you can't beat the price. The next palette I wanted to talk to you about is a more expensive palette, and it is the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. And this palette kind of got mixed reviews, but for me, this palette was a complete and total win. I didn't have a problem with any of the colors. And again, this is called the Holy Grail palette by Violet Voss. Number one, I love palettes that work like this, where you flip it over. It has a mirror on the back, and you can just kind of put your brush in there and work. So I love palettes that are made like this. For me, that's my favorite type of palette. And then this is actually the color scheme of the palette. The names of them are really cute. There's ones that's called Cool Beans, Are You Kidding Me? Bestie, Thanks a Latte. There is a color called Transition, which is kind of funny. But the mattes in this are amazing. The shimmers in this I actually do use because they do work well on my skin. I can blend incredibly well with these. The payout on these is amazing. It is a higher investment, but for me it was completely worth it with this palette. I didn't have any trouble with this palette whatsoever. I kind of went into it a little unknowing because there was kind of 50-50 reviews out there on this palette, but then once I used it, I could not understand why this palette was not more of hyped up product than it actually was. So if you haven't checked out the Violet Voss product, I would definitely recommend that you check out the Holy Grail palette by Violet Voss. This is definitely amazing. The next palette I want to talk to you about was kind of a surprise for me. I wanted to check it out even though I was very hesitant to do so, and I'll tell you why. Because it was a collab by Ulta with a makeup artist named Michelle, or Melissa Michelle, is a YouTube vlogger, sorry. The collection I was hesitant about because I'm not impressed with Ulta's eyeshadows. They are hard to work with. They're very hard for the most part. It's just not an eyeshadow that has worked well for me in the past. So to see that they were collabing with a YouTuber, I was a little skeptical, but I went ahead and got the palette, and I was glad that I did because the formula is different in this palette. The collection includes a highlighter trio. It includes a blush. It's called a blush, but for me it looks more like a bronzer, and I would use it more like a bronzer. And then it also has a matte liquid lipstick in it, 4 metallic eyeshadows, and 5 matte eyeshadows. So this is what it looks like on the outside, and it's called the Melissa Michelle, and again it's a collab with Ulta Beauty. The one downside for me is when mine arrived, my mirror was cracked, but the product was intact, so we'll move on. Now I haven't tried the matte liquid lip yet, and it comes and it's put right here, so I kind of took it out just because I didn't want to discuss it because I wasn't really, I haven't tried it out yet, so I didn't really want to give my opinion on it. But this is what the palette looks like. These are the 4 shimmers, and then these are the 5 mattes. Now, they definitely did something different in this palette because the color payoff that you get out of this palette is amazing. And not only is it amazing, but it feels wonderful. The blendability is fantastic, and I have nothing bad to say about these eyeshadows from Ulta. So whatever they did, if they continue to do this, and they actually do this with their individuals, or even some of the palettes that Ulta has come out with, then I will be a buyer because these are very nice and they work very well. Now this is marketed as a blush, however for me I would actually like to use it as a contour just because it has a very nice tone to it. It doesn't kind of have that orangey back tone that doesn't work well with my skin sometimes. It's got more of a rosy back tone, and I genuinely love this kind of right here as like a contour, so I really like this. And the highlighter as well. The highlighter was a pleasant surprise for me because I don't like highlighters that are very sparkly and overly shimmery, and for the same reason I have some fine lines and wrinkles right here, and really shimmery highlighters tend to accentuate that for me and pull attention to that. Now this is a 3-way highlighter. You have kind of a light, a medium, and a dark, but you can just do an overall, which is what I do, and then it is just a very nice, look at that. It is really nice, and it sets really nice on the skin. This is a great formula, and I kind of wish that they would get this highlighter and just market it individually by itself. So overall, this was a win for me with Ulta. They did a great job on this collab, so congratulations, Melissa Michelle. I really like this palette, and I really wasn't expecting to. Now, for right now, for a limited time, when you buy that palette, you actually get a whole bunch of free product. So I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like. You get this bag. You can choose your color. This is more of a pink rosy. They also have one that's blue toned. That's blue and kind of the same marbly pattern. For those of you that want to know, this is what that matte liquid lipstick that comes in the collection looks like. It is a matte liquid lip, and I'll pop it in there really quickly just so you can kind of see what it looks like with the palette. So that's what it looks like. It's like a brown nude tone, but again, I haven't tried it, so I'm not going to speak to the performance of that matte liquid lip, but it is included with the palette. So you get this bag of goodies, and I'm just going to kind of blow through it really quickly for you. You get these 2 palettes. Now, one thing I will say is this one palette is full of eyeshadows, and these are very atypical Ulta eyeshadows. They're very hard. There is not a lot of color payoff. You really gotta like dig in there to even get a little bit of color to show up, and for the most part this is pretty standard for what Ulta eyeshadows look like and do for me, which is just not a whole lot. So for me, even though this is included, not something that I personally would use. This, on the other hand, is also included. Now, this translucent color here is very hard, and there's not a lot there. And I mean, you press hard, and it's just not a lot for a translucent powder. Wouldn't use this at all as a setting powder. This, however, is a very nice bronzer, and this is a very nice highlighter. Now, this highlighter is a little more on the gold side, but you can see the difference in this one and then in this one, how this really settles into fine lines. And this is not something I would use, but this is a usable product, and there are people out there that might really like this contour and highlight, so that comes free as well. You also get this. This is a tinted eye primer. I personally wouldn't use this because I use like Painterly as an eye primer, and as an eye primer this is very sheer and it's kind of rose tinted. So I wouldn't use this as an eye primer, but there are people out there that might want to use this as an eye primer, so that's kind of what it looks like. I did put a whole lot on there and I didn't mean to, but that's what it looks like, and they're marketing it as an eye primer. So not really sure that I would actually utilize that product, but it does come free in the bag, you know, it might be good as actual. I mean, if I were to use it for anything, I would actually use it probably as a shadow. But again, I don't really do a lot of the sparkly metallic stuff just because it's not my taste. There's also this cute little brush in there. It's an Ulta blush brush. I would actually use it more for highlight if it was me, but that's included as well. You also get an eyeliner from them. I'm not going to speak to performance on this because I haven't tried it, but it's plum on one side and black on the other, so that's also included in the kit. Now, this lip primer that's included in the kit, I will speak to because I actually have used this and I really like this. This is a lip primer, and they call it a color enhancer, but most color enhancers, when you put them on your lips, it's got like a nude color to it, and it kind of turns your lips very skin toned, so that when you put a lipstick on top of it, the lipstick doesn't mix with your lip color, and the lipstick stays true to like what's actually in the product. But this lip primer does not have a tint to it at all. It is just a very nice moisturizing lip primer. It does dry down quickly, but it does moisturize your lips. What I have found I really like this for is when I use any kind of matte liquid lipstick. You know, mattes can tend to be very dry and dry down very kind of cracky, and sometimes you can even get a little bit of feathering if you haven't lined your lips, and this prevents that from happening. So I really like this product, and that's included. You also get a matte lip crayon from Ulta as well, and again, these are all Ulta line products, so you get this as well. You also get a gloss. Now, I will say this about this gloss. This is from their Color Rush line, and it's more of a liquid lipstick because of the pigment. I really like the pigment in this gloss. It's a very nice rosy color, and you get a good amount of color payoff with this gloss. So I really like this, and I like this color, and I've worn it, and the lasting on it is great. You also get a little compact with a mirror in it. Again, mine is cracked, so I'm not sure what happened. The shipping must have been horrible. You get a little pencil sharpener as well. And then the one product that was a real win for me is this mascara. This is the Maximum Lashes Defining and Lengthening Mascara, and it was a win. So if you guys want to get this, definitely go to the store and get it. I'm not sure how much longer it's going to last. I think it's from now through until the end of this month. or until supplies go out. So definitely check out your Ulta store. If you guys have any questions or comments, put it down in the section below and I'll get back to you. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great day, and definitely go check out the Maximum Lashes by Ulta. This bad boy is really good. I like it, mainly because of the brush. All right, guys, have a good one. I'll talk to you later.